Hi, everyone, and welcome to Flourish. Well, I'm here with Allyson Siegel from Strong by Siegel. She's a super fun and super knowledgeable personal trainer here who's local to Timonium, but she also sees clients online. And she just celebrated 3 years as a small business owner, so that's super exciting. I love having her as a referral in the community. I love being able to send patients her way, and you should go see her. And here's why. So we're gonna do a deep dive into some questions for Allyson today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. So tell me a little bit about how you got into personal training.
Yeah, so I've been into fitness for a long time. This is actually my second career. I was a dental hygienist in the health field for a long time. And I've always been into lifting weights and things like that and just overall health and wellness. But I think what really got me on this journey was my pregnancies. Going in for the first time being pregnant and going into my OB, and they don't really have much to say. They're just
Mhm.
kind of like, "Yeah, sounds good. Like, keep doing what you're doing." And I'm like, "Okay, but do you want to ask me any questions about what I'm currently doing or anything?" So I have two kids. They are 6 and 8. So we're talking, this is like, probably like 9 years ago or so. And there's not a ton of information. There's more information now than there was, but it's still not great. I had really difficult pregnancies, really different births. I had a vaginal birth and a C-section delivery, emergency C-section. So I've just been through a lot. And I really wanted to know. And I'm a huge nerd. So, ton of research, taught myself, kind of what things look like. I sought out a pelvic floor therapist before, anyone ever told me that I should. I was like, things aren't right. And you get your 6 week check and you're on your way. And there's
Mhm.
just so much that goes on, and there's so much that you still can do. And I felt like if I could teach myself that, then I could certainly teach other people. So that led me to, getting my certification in personal training, and also a separate certification in pre and postnatal fitness. So that's
I
where
love
my
that.
love came from.
I love that so much, and I'm amazed at your ability to just like you want to know it all, right? Like I think a lot of people will tend to oh, there's not really an answer, so I guess I'll just kind of let it sit, like let sleeping dogs lie, right? And you were like, nope, I'm gonna take the bull by the horns. I'm gonna learn as much as I can about this to the point of getting a certification. It's one of the things that I respect the most about you, honestly, is like because I'm the same way. Like I want to do a deep dive on everything, before I really start to open my mouth about it.
Right.
So good on you for really seeking out that information. And thank you so much for like helping out in the community and really teaching people and educating women that they can be strong. And here's how they do it and giving them a guide.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. What type of clients get you fired up?
It's so cliche to say they all get me fired up, but they really do, because I have the ability to like customize plans and really get to know clients. I do consultations with each client. So obviously my first love will always be those new moms that are in that fog and just, feel so out of their body and just, lost. I've been there. I really remember that. And I feel like I can relate in a lot of ways to that. And finding ways to feel like themselves again. But the older I get, I'm almost 40, delving into the perimenopause and menopause areas, and actually working on my certification towards that as well, because so much happens and not enough of it is talked about. I also have clients that are novice and that have never picked up a dumbbell. That's awesome. I love teaching. I love giving people confidence when they go into a gym or with the dumbbells. So they really all get me fired up. It's been 3 years, which isn't long, but I still like, the passion hasn't died. My fire is still there. And each client, I just love being that cheerleader for them.
I love that. And I love the individualization. Like that's such a critical piece. Like you're saying, like everybody's kind of in a different stage of life. Everybody has a different level of fitness. And so really meeting people where they're at and not like trying to beat them over the head with, you should be doing this, like let's find a way that is approachable for you to enter this space, right? So that's really huge. And I love that you've like again, like going back to your personal experience, right? Like you have this special place in your heart for new moms who are trying to figure it out. And I love hearing people's passions about that. So that's great. Love it. Um Staying active in big life transitions is tough for everybody, right?
Yeah.
So what recommendations do you typically give to people? Like, let's say they're going through their first round of IVF, or they are bringing home that new baby, or, they're entering perimenopause, or they're postmenopausal. Like, what do you recommend to people in
Yeah.
terms of staying
So
fit?
absolutely. And there are so many things. We are going to get thrown something all the time. Could be something as minor as, you get a call from the nurse and now your kid's sick and your whole plan for the week is turned upside down, right? That's discord in your life. Could be
Hmm.
something more serious like going through IVF, fertility journey. Could be bringing home a 6-week old.
Hmm.
And I think, and I always say this, my clients will hear me in their head, something is better than nothing.
Hmm.
And that is truly, you see these people online, they're at the gym for an hour and a half, 5 days a week, they're going for their runs, like they seem to have time for it all. Well, guess what? We don't have time for it all, and that's okay. A 15-20 minute workout is perfect, especially in those tough times.
Hmm.
When you have the time and your schedule looks different, like you will only be in whatever chapter you're in for a certain period of time before things will look different.
Hmm.
By the time you enter menopause, maybe you're retired and things look different. Who knows? So I just think, having being accountable, having someone else help you be accountable. I always say, something small, like I'm going to take 2 walks this week. You're
Hmm.
going to put it on your calendar. I'm going to walk Tuesday and Thursday this week. I have the time. Tell your spouse, tell your partner, and have them help you check those boxes, give you the space and time to do that. Take the baby with you, maybe take the dog with you, maybe just you just need 15 minutes alone.
Hmm.
So, and those are the boxes that you checked for the day. So when you're in those big transitions and things go upside down, doing something small for yourself, a workout, a walk, a hot shower, doing your hair, whatever
Hmm.
that looks like that day is enough in the season that you're in, and just giving yourself grace.
Yeah, 100%. I think we all, um, we joke online about girl bossing too close to the sun. I don't know if you've seen jokes about that, but I feel like that applies into the fitness space also. You see posts that are talking about like, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. No, we don't. Stop
No, we
that.
don't.
Like, we don't. And we don't have the same nervous system readiness either, right? So we've got to figure out like where we're ready to enter
Exactly.
that space. And I love that you're really encouraging people to do that and finding ways to care for themselves outside of just, like, yes, be active and do that in a way that's approachable, but also like, hey, have you talked to your spouse recently, or have you talked to your best friend, or have you done your hair? Have you done anything to make yourself feel good? Like, that's really great to hear. People really need that in those
Yeah,
big times of transition.
absolutely.
Love it. And then final question here, and we can talk more about this, but give us your elevator pitch for strength training as a woman.
Guys, I just like to talk too much for there to be like a 30-second thing. However, since you're forcing me, um, muscle is money in the bank. We are losing muscle mass every year. That's just what it is. And a lot of us don't have a ton to begin with, especially females. We don't make enough testosterone. We don't, practice heavy lifting that often. So you need the muscle to stay strong, to not be frail, to not break bones, to not get sick. Something's coming for us all, is what I say. It could be whatever it is, it's going to come. And why not be in the best shape possible? And that just means healthy lifting weights, having muscle tone, not being frail, not break. We're not in the generation of, aerobics and 100-calorie packs anymore. Like, we got to eat the protein and we got to lift weights, and you're not going to get bulky doing that. It takes extreme heavy lifting for long periods of time, and possible supplements and medications for that to actually really happen. So the more muscle you have, the better your metabolism works for you, the better you're going to age, up and down the stairs, picking up your grandkids, picking up your kids. So, yeah, that's my message. And start now. It's never too late to start. You can build muscle at any age, which is like the coolest thing ever. I have people that come to me in their 50s and 60s and like, can I really do this? And I'm like, yeah. And like, they were doing this exercise with 5 pounds and now they're doing it with 7 pounds.
I
You
love
got
that.
stronger. You
Yeah,
cannot deny the numbers.
right.
So, muscle looks good on everyone.
It does. And it only helps our, like you're saying, our bones, our heart, our brain, right? Being independent in your 70s and 80s, like as much as you can, right? Like starting earlier helps, but starting at any time is really what gets, people continuing to move. So critical to stay on the strength training path. And like you said, you're not going to end up bulky. I always like chuckle to myself, you really have to try. I have a lot of patients who are like, no, I don't think I can do that. I'm gonna end up too muscly. I'm like, girl, let me tell you, like even my brother who did powerlifting for many, many years, he got bulky, but like, he wasn't ever like flat, abs or anything like that. And that's with testosterone, right? Like if we're talking about the
Yes.
women's side of things where we have testosterone, but it's less, right?
Yes,
Like
it
it's
is
not gonna be the
very
same
hard.
outcome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like, we've talked about like you're probably not eating enough, you're definitely not eating enough protein.
Hmm.
So just about making those small changes over time. And you don't have to be a bodybuilder, you don't have to lift the kinds of weights that I do or so and so does, whatever. It's you against you. And I say that all the time, like 1% better every day. Like
Hmm.
this week I took 2 walks. For the whole month I took two walks, and now I'm going to do 3 walks, or now I'm going to drink a little bit more water this day, or I'm able to lift heavier than I was. It's you. Like,
Hmm.
are you better than you were? There's
Right.
not a comparison game, because like we just were talking about before, like everyone's on their own journey, having
Hmm.
their own big life transitions and things like
Hmm.
that. Like a 6-week postpartum mom is not going to be hip thrusting 300 pounds. She's not, and she shouldn't be, right?
Right, right.
So it takes a long time to get there, but that shouldn't be a discouragement, because something is better than nothing, and it's just like
100%.
so powerful. The more that you do hard things, the easier that life just gets, and all the things that come along that are hard don't seem as hard.
100%. Yeah, more on that. Like I talk with patients about like if your basement is here and your ceiling is here and your function level is close to your basement, you're going to have more issues. So we want to
Mm,
raise that ceiling, we want to raise that function level, right?
I love
Um,
that.
because you have farther to fall, right? When you do inevitably have something come up because things
Love
come
that.
up, right?
Yeah.
So we want to improve that. And another thing too that you were alluding to is, you know, you're not having people dive in, to deadlifting 135 pounds on day one. That's psycho. Sorry. Like, that's just not happening, right?
Yes.
Because you're smart. You're smart and you're capable and you're really like meeting people where they're at. And that's the way that it should be, right? So
Yes.
I don't know if you have more to
Absolutely.
say about that.
No, I mean it's true. There's not, no provider, um, therapist, trainer should have you doing what everybody else is doing, because you're an individual and your life looks different than everybody else's, and your experience and your trauma and all the things. So it's just really important to have someone meet you where you are, and, obviously challenge you because you want to be pushed. But I don't know, I love the analogy of the basement. Like we are all going to inevitably fall. Hopefully it's
Mhm.
not too far, but like how resilient, how much harder to kill, right? Can you
Mhm.
make
Mhm.
yourself for when that time comes, that you're able to really, push through.
Yeah. 100%. I love that. I love that. So as I always encourage everyone, just, continuing to strength train and meeting yourself where you're at. And if you need assistance from a great personal trainer, you've got one right here. Allison is
Awesome.
fantastic um, and evidence-based. Like everything she says is based in literature.
Right.
And there only continues to be more and more evidence coming out. I just saw a paper about intensity level of training during pregnancy that was kind of pushing the boundaries of, hey, don't get your heart rate above this level. Hey, it might actually be okay for you to do that. And here's
I've
proof
been
that
reading
why.
about, it's very cool.
It's very exciting. So she's a perfect person. Where can they find you, Allison?
Sure. Strongbysiegel.com is my website, Siegel. And Instagram's also a good place. I share a lot of stuff there about my daily life and kind of how I like to live the way I want, I like to lead by example. So
Mhm.
strong_by_Siegel is where you can find me.
Love it. And are you taking new clients?
I am. I'm taking online clients. So it doesn't matter where you are. Have the ability to sort of meet you where you are. I do train in person, but my roster is currently full for that. So online is where it's at anyway. You can do it from anywhere, home, gym, whatever.
Love it. Love it. Any final thoughts? Anything you want to add?
No, thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it.